Retro Rebel Gamecast is brought to you by TempleofGeek.com, your one-stop shop for all things geek. You can find all our episodes and fulfill your sci-fi, fantasy, and geek culture-related needs at TempleofGeek.com. Welcome to the Retro Rebel Gamecast, where we discuss gaming and related topics. Retro Rebel is released Fridays, and you can find this episode and much more by heading to TempleofGeek.com or wherever you download your favorite podcasts. You can even find us on Facebook and Instagram at Retro Rebel Podcast for exclusive content and to see what else we're up to. My name is Amanda, and this week I'm joined with a special guest co-host, Tom. Hey, Tom, how's it going?
Yeah, not too bad, you?
Yeah, it's going well. It's going well. So you've never been on the show before, so thanks for coming on. We have a tradition here of talking about what we're playing first before we get into the main topic. I've been playing Bang Online, which is a Western-themed card-based shooter on Board Game Arena, and it's pretty fun. You are either a sheriff, a deputy, a renegade, or an outlaw, and you are on different teams. What team you're on determines who you should shoot.
Right.
So it's a pretty fun game. I managed to win with the renegade once, which is pretty hard because a renegade only wins when everyone else is dead, so you don't really have a team. So
What's it called again?
it's called Bang, like Bang Bang.
Oh, thank God for that, because it made it sound like it was a PG rated, like 18 plus game. It's called Bang. Do you know what I mean? So you got to go around, banging as many things as you can? Is that basically the premise of this game?
No, it's a Western. It's a Western.
I mean, you can't listen. Doesn't mean it didn't happen to go
Right.
down like that in Western. You know what I mean? That's how you got dysentery and stuff, wasn't it?
I think that's from not washing your hands, actually.
I think it's a bit more than not washing your hands, mate. If you're getting dysentery, do you know what I mean? I think it was. Just never heard of the game called Bang. So I remember
cool.
there used to be an old game called Pang, and then there was Super Pang, and it was one about balloons. It's unrelated to a Western, by the way.
Mm.
So that it sounds familiar. Then Bang, Pang. You know what I mean? I thought that just a very loose connection.
Fair enough. I really like that Board Game Arena enables you to play board games on the computer instead of having to play them in person. So, and for some games, it's much faster to set up because you don't have to get all the little bits and pieces out. You just start playing right away. So it's pretty good.
A lot of that's going on mobile, though, isn't it? You know what I mean?
They have an app.
Yeah.
So you can play on the app as well. Yeah. What have you been up to? What have you been playing?
Oh, well, from when I've been fitting time in for it, mate, it's been the old adage. I've been trying to get like 100% on Witcher 3, and it's just not working out for me at all, because like every time I think I've completed one section or one area, it'll just populate like the generic quests. But again, you've got to complete them in time to do 100%. I am going to try and do it. I'll at least get to at least the 90s. At the moment, I'm on 47%. That's it.
Wow.
Not even halfway through. And I've completed it once, and this is the second playthrough.
Oh, wow.
You know, so either I'm just really rubbish at it, which is a possibility, or it's just bigger than I thought. You know, I have been using the guides as well, like just to try and get me through it faster.
Oh, wow. Well, if I remember correctly, the main story is like worth a lot towards completionist points, but so are the
100%.
collections. And the armor collections and stuff do take a while to get because you've got to roam around.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I suppose you're right, actually. But once you get the waypoints and stuff, it's all right. It's not too bad. And then there's the horse rack. Oh, my God, that horse. I swear down dead, that horse is an absolute dickhead. Like, honest to God, like, there's parts where you've got to race with him, and he will absolutely smash every hurdle. He'll jump over massive, like, half-built houses and stuff like this. But then, when you're just going through the wilderness outback, he gets stumped by a bush, and he can't work his way around it. It's like it's impossible. It just glitches. He won't go past it, or he won't go past a post or a pebble on the floor.
Right.
He's a dickhead.
Yeah, there are famous YouTube videos of him like just sort of flying in the air.
Yeah, I've seen them. That's very funny. It used to be, I think, was it Skyrim that would have horses as well?
They could climb mountains.
Yeah. If you just keep on jumping, he grips on the way up. You can do the same. You can kind of do the same in Witcher, but only with Geralt. If you gain purchase on a side of a mountain, which is quite steep, you can roll up the mountain, and he glitches, and then he stops, and then he rolls up. You just keep pressing jump, and he'll keep rolling up.
Right.
it doesn't serve you well though, because the second you stop or slip, you fall back down and die. So it's just, you know what I mean? It's just it looks funny. It doesn't actually serve a purpose. So yeah, Witcher 3. Just trying to complete that. I didn't say recently played it, but I stopped playing it because it was just. I think I completed it by 98%, which that was Diablo 3.
Oh
But
wow.
not 87%. Sorry, 87. But because the rest of the completion thing would be online, and because pretty much it stopped doing it online because all the servers just didn't work out for Blizzard. It just like, you know, you're not really going to complete that because they're the only trophies that are left to get. You know,
Right.
which is a bit of a shame. I remember when they did their auction house, if like they said you could use real money, or sorry, you can get items for real money. And
Yeah.
at first, it did all right for about a month until people were just rinsing it, and then they had to shut it down, and then it never came back after that. And then I was thinking about playing Dead Space again because I did like that game, like 1, 2, and 3, but
Mm.
they're quite expensive on PlayStation at the moment, so I'm trying to save my pennies and not do it.
I had Steve on yesterday to talk about classic horror games, and we spent a long time talking about Dead Space,
Oh, I
about
remember the game.
how
Mm.
it's very like atmospheric. Like not only are the monsters really gory and like the effects, like if you shoot off an arm or a leg, it changes
Mm.
what they can do for you. But yeah, no, Dead Space is a classic game. Well, listen, it sounds like you've been playing some things for sure.
Not
um,
like amazingly, but when I get like an hour or two by myself, yeah, I'm definitely jumping on it to downtime in it.
Hey, fair enough. Fair enough.
Mm.
All right, cool. So today we've brought you on so that we can discuss classic arcade games, which I understand you spent a lot of your youth playing and have many fond memories of.
Don't know what you're talking about.
So
I spent my youth like every English person doing anything but being in education. That's
okay.
pretty much. We active my well, especially my genre, we sort of like actively avoided it. So anything we could do that wasn't in school, we pretty much take part of it.
Listen, that's fair enough. I think that's true for people in the States as well. There's a lot of
Oh.
playing hooky. But this list isn't actually our list. It's based off of one of Google's top results from a website called Ranker. Now, that is a crowd voted list. So this means that
Hmm.
this list of 30 has been chosen by the fans. Um, and
Well, this would be interesting then.
Yeah. So we're going to start at the bottom in 30 and work our way up to number one. It is sort of published in reverse order on the website, but we're going to talk about them from 30 down. And see sort of where we think they've messed up, where some are missing, you know, where we think that games that we remember probably should be on the list. Now, I'm not a huge arcade fan, but I have played some of these in their original arcade form back in the day, even when I was a kid. So it'll be interesting to see like what our takes are. And if neither of us played it, we'll just mention it and move on. How does that sound?
Yeah, bring it on.
All right, cool. So let's start with number 30, the classic Qbert, the 1982
Jesus
Atari
Christ.
game.
Qubit. Listen, there's a few games that give me seizures, and Qubit is one of them. Honestly, you've seen Qubit, right? You've seen how it
Mm.
works. It's like a goddamn pyramid. Some armless geezer with a massive trunk nose is just jumping up and down these blocks trying to make you go psychedelic. Fuck, mate, trash. Absolute trash game. Why is it on the list?
It's number 30, so yeah, it's been voted.
Christ, it could be a bit. Listen, that's got to be. This list must be from America then. No Englishman would spend their time and hand pennies playing Qbert. So like this is an American list straight away.
To be fair, I would say that most of the video game rankings are probably going to be in America just because
100%.
Google is going to favor high traffic sources. So
Well,
it
it just
probably
proves that Americans got nothing better to do.
All right, well, let's move on to number 29, Golden Axe. Now, when I
Oh, yes, mate.
this is the
Yes.
1989 acclaimed Cheltenham classic.
Oh, listen, there was only one character worth. There's only one character worth playing in Golden Axe, and unfortunately, it wasn't the woman or the dwarf. It was the burly geezer that looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger with the blue trunks on and the blue boots. and the blue little bands he had with the massive sword, the blue hilt. It was just the best. And his super, or I say his super, is like his potion thing that he did was the
Yeah.
volcano that comes up in the middle. He did these little smaller ones. Wasn't as strong as the woman's, obviously, because that was a massive dragon's head that would just blitz the entire ground. But he was the best character, and the way the people died as well. Like, yes, they were generic, but like the enemies were color coded. So
Yeah.
like the weaker ones would be the grey or the brown ones, and then the more deadly ones would be the red and onwards ones, or the black ones. They were pretty hard actually. And oh, listen, they don't make games like that anymore. 100%. Like I know it's a sad along scroll on, but like it was just a fun game to keep coming back to and finding like little nice ways of doing things, or even not doing them just for a laugh. And when you played two player with a mate, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, really good game like that. Why isn't that higher? That's such a good game.
I'm surprised about some that are higher. I mean, when we get to them, I think I'll flag them. But yeah, Golden Axe. You're not the first person to say that it was quite a fun game to play cooperatively.
Yeah, well, it was very culturally iconic. I thought as well, to be honest. Like it did, you know, it was it was the first game I remember playing that you could you play with assistance from the second player
Mm.
rather than just trying to beat each other up or destroy each other and stuff like that. You'd actually have to play it as a tandem duo, and instead, and when you played as a single player, I don't know if it was vindictive of the games at the time, but the enemies weren't as numerous as a single player. But when you played double player, there was more
It
enemies,
scaled.
more grading for thing, and there was less resources. And I
Right.
really like that. And these little what do you call them? I don't know what you call them. I don't want to say little people because that sounds like offensive, but it's like these little. Well, considering one of the characters was a dwarf anyway, like
Yeah.
there was like these
Small
little
small
gnome
enemies.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would run on screen and steal your potions and drop your food, and if you didn't, whoever got them first was pretty much guaranteed to survive the longest out of the 2 years.
Oh,
And
wow.
the boss fight at the end, phenomenal, really good. Like what was his name? Death Adder. That
Oh,
was the geezer. That's the big boss man, Death Adder. And
this is a
right,
great
so Death
memory.
Adder,
Your memory is so good.
right? Death Adder killed the dwarf person's son. He uh, he ransacked the village the barbarian was from, and he killed the father of the Amazonian woman who was in
Oh,
a very skimpy
of course
like
she was.
number.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because that was what was happening at the time. She was in a bikini bottoms at the top. Like, how is that going to help you when someone's firing shit at you? It was just ridiculous. And everyone else has got full blown armor on. Or well, except for the geezer, he's in the speedos, isn't he? Like, do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. But like, no, really good game. Really good game. Fun memories. Fun memories. That.
Yeah.
What's the next one?
28 is Tron from 1982, the Midway Games classic. Now, I think I played this, but I can't remember. Was this the bike cabinet?
Yes. Wait.
It's the
Oh.
1982 Tron arcade game. I'm just gonna look it up really quick because if it's a bike cabinet, then I probably did play it.
Hmm.
Um,
Was there not two versions? Wasn't there one where it was a standing arcade and a bank cabinet?
just looking on, I see it looks like the original was not a bike cabinet. So
It
the
was a stand up.
original Bally Midway game was four sub games inspired by the motion picture inside a standard square cabinet.
Yeah, yeah.
So it had
I
like,
think that's the one we had
I
in
don't
the
know,
UK.
like
We weren't fancy enough for the bike one. Weren't trusted
yeah.
with it. We'd probably try and steal it.
The problem is like I have distinct memories of a bike game and I think I believed that it was Tron, but it's not this one if it is one at all.
Might have
Okay,
been a Tron rip off.
the this Tron game doesn't look very good. It looks like a Pac-Man sort of ripoff.
Yeah, I don't like. I don't remember playing it, but I remember the influence it had because obviously the movie did quite well, and it was around about that era that it kind of spawned the other games that we'd play. But
It's one of the
it,
earlier ones for sure. Like
Oh,
it,
yeah,
it
100%.
came
Yeah,
out 2 years
100%.
after Pac-Man, so it's seriously one of the pioneering games.
But I think it. Listen, it probably did make. It obviously made the shores of England, right? But I just don't think it made the shores of England where I was. Like it was. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no way people from where I was live would spend hard-earned cash on Tron. They didn't even go see it in the cinema. They could because there wasn't a cinema probably. Do you know what I mean? It was.
Fair
We
enough.
just heard rumors of this big picture house. We didn't actually get a chance to go.
Oh. Okay, so moving on to number 27, Ghosts and Goblins from the year of my
Oh,
birth,
yes.
1985. Capcom. Wait, don't you get us? Don't you get us flagged?
Oh, is that what happened? Because I'm sick.
Yeah.
Because I'm humming the tune. That would. They won't flag that. They won't even be able to recognise it as music. Never mind. They'll just think someone's strangling a cat. Probably get flagged for that. Um, yeah, no, that was a good game. That was a really good game. Solid. That was a hard game. And there was one of the power ups. I remember there was only one power up worth getting. The other power up was shite because it did like it was called I think it was a longsword power up, which
Yeah,
then created like an arc in front of you, but it was so short ranged that the enemy would have to get quite close to you in order for you to be effective. But by that point, it's too late. If you miss it by even a millimeter, he's already on you, and you knocked your armor off. You get hit again, and you're in your undies. You're
yeah,
dead.
yeah.
Pointless.
Yeah, so this is rated as one of the hardest games of all time. And in
I
fact,
can
in order
believe
to
it.
get through a real ending, you have to beat the game twice.
Oh my god! Do you remember the ending of this game?
No, I've never played it, but this game is so popular. Like, I know that is.
Yeah. So if I remember correctly, and feel free for anyone to contact whoever needs to be contacted to correct me. Right? Just don't contact me because I won't
Well,
care.
they'll fill you in the comments. Don't worry.
Yeah, yeah. Just put it in the comments or whatever you want to do, or spam someone. Right? At the end, I think there's a. I could be wrong, but I think the devil or the demon or whatever it is that you've been fighting to try and get your love back or whatever it is sat on a chair. And there was a comment made like how exposed his genital area was. And why didn't, yeah, exactly, because like if you looked at the way he sat like a throne chair. So he sat with his legs akimbo. Who does that for starters? You know what I mean? Like, you've got a little dude running around with a sword who could easily just graze one of your cherubs. And you're just sat there calmly. And all he could just do is like, pop, 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 and just like,
This is awful.
give you a vasectomy or something, you know what I mean? And he's just casually sat there in his chair, and I never understood it. And he's flicking his hands, and these things are coming out and spinning and stuff.
Oh, wow.
Listen, it's either that or a dream. I don't know which one it is. You know what I mean? So, I think I made that up. But like I'm telling you, that was a solid game. I never completed it. No,
Oh,
I don't
I
know.
don't think many people have.
No,
It's one of the
listen,
hardest.
I couldn't spend the money on it on the arcade. It was too
Yeah,
expensive.
yeah. There are emulators for it now. Maybe give it another go online.
Um, no, I've got better things to do. No, I don't think I will actually.
All right, fair enough. All right, number 26, Outrun from 1986. Now, I've never heard of this game. It was published by AM R&D Department number
Is
2.
that the racing car game?
Possibly.
Yeah, it's your land or something. And then go outrun, and then it starts from the picton line, and you've got a woman in the car, and when you crash, she flips over. The car flips over. She does a somersault, and I remember now. She exposes her
Oh
underwear.
my God, this is the worst.
But this is the game. This is what happens. She flips over and she fucking lands spread like not a spread eagle, but like enough so her legs go akimbo. There's little white thing. It's obviously clearly her underwear. I
Oh
remember that.
God,
Listen, I would crash a car on purpose just to try and get that GIF animation to see what's going on. You know what
this is terrible.
I mean?
Oh, we're learning too much now. Yeah,
But
it is the sort of car uh, like cabinet. It didn't actually have the full seat setup
no,
or
it didn't. It was a
anything.
joystick with
Yeah, it
three
was
buttons.
stick, but there was a little steering wheel. So
Yeah. Oh wait, no. Yes, it was. It was a really small, like little go kart steering wheel.
Yeah, but like you weren't in like a race car seat like some
Oh
games
no,
in the future. But
I
yeah,
don't
it's
think that technology had came on that by that point. I don't remember seeing many racing car classic like that.
not in '86, no.
Hmm.
But then '87,
Listen,
I know
where I
personally.
was, we just invented the wheel. Never mind bloody arcade cabinets with steering wheels on it.
So I know number 25 is one of your favorites. That's the original 1987 Street Fighter from Capcom,
Oh,
the classic.
listen, you got that's some memories there. That is some memories there. Yeah, the original 1987. Oh, we're going to do it all over the world. Yeah, I remember those ones. Fuck you now. Solid. I remember trying to do Hadoukens and these things, and they were so temperamental. You do the control perfectly, hit the button at the correct time, and he would either go bah or do a fireball. You never knew which one it was, but when they did get hit by the fireball. But when he did get hit by the fireball, it took so much energy off him. It was phenomenal. And some of the original characters from that game later in like Street Fighter 4, 5 and onwards, they got a reappearance into back into the law, as it were. And I thought that was quite interesting to see what would happen to them after the original, like the very first game, because Birdie makes a comeback, and the later ones, Gen makes a comeback, and
Right.
a few of the other ones. And oh yeah, absolute classic. Yeah, listen, that was a good game as well. That was a really good game.
I feel like Street Fighter is and with most fighters, they translated well from arcades to consoles as well. So the franchise was pretty successful, generally speaking.
Well, yeah, I was going to just correct you right there because I remember it was doing all right until it got to Street Fighter. What was it? The 3D one where it was really blocky and you had characters in it like Skullo and Sakura had first made an appearance on it, and it was it Street Fighter X or something like that? I think it was. And it was one of the old. It was like a Tekken based kind of like graphic style. If you remember Tekken when it first came
Yeah,
out,
I
very
love
blocky.
Tekken, man.
Listen, you just got to pick either Law or Eddie and just button bash, and you win.
Nah, I
There was
played
no.
Tekken. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, listen, there was actual skill involved in Street Fighter. I'll have you know. You know what I mean?
Oh, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, spamming. Listen. A lot of arguments have started over Street Fighter, mate. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh
I'm just
well,
saying.
well there will probably be more Street Fighter on this list, I would imagine. So let's
I
move on.
can't. Yeah, I can't imagine you can have a top 30 without having at least the other Street Fighters on there at least. But yeah, massively inspirational for fighting game though. Like it did spawn a lot of other King of Ring, King of Fighters. Uh, just to name a few. Like I wouldn't say Mortal Kombat per se, but I
I
think
feel
it
like Mortal
paved.
Kombat was an evolution. It was like pushing
Yeah,
Street Fighter to its like natural compute
but
like
I
conclusion.
think I think games like Street Fighter give the developers of those games like the confidence to move forward with what they were doing because they could see like that was the natural progression of a span. True, Street Fighter never actually went that way with blood and things like this. When it did port over quite well from the Japanese to the American version, as far as console went anyway. You know, because there was a few iterations, a few changes. I think primarily the Chung Li stage in the later
Yeah.
years was changed because they didn't appreciate the cultural appropriation of the signs and how it was depicted
Yeah.
and stuff, so they had to change it. And the colours, there was some big hoo-ha about the colours of the background for that particular. And Dalsim's level when it got a little bit later on because obviously, you know, it's a Hindu temple technically, and then a few
Mhm.
people are taking a cultural appreciation of that. Interesting how it's evolved though,
Yeah.
because if I remember correctly, when you won as Zangief in the later game, um, was it Gorbachev or someone comes down and starts doing a Cossack dance with you?
Amazing.
He
God,
comes
I
down
hope
from
this
it.
is true.
That's it. He goes, "Thank you, Mr. President," and then it's time to dance. And he comes down in a helicopter and starts doing the Kazakh
Amazing.
starts doing the Kazakh dance with Zangief. Do you know what I mean? You couldn't get that now.
No, although it would be
No.
awesome.
Well, listen, if I see a video game fighting game, then Putin just makes an appearance on a horse, no shirt.
Yeah.
Just
Hey, deep fakes are good enough now. It would probably look like it was actually him.
Well, that's it. You know what I mean? I think I might play it just for that.
All right, so moving on from Street Fighter, number 24. Now, I think this is quite a strange game. I've never played it. Rampage from 1986,
Oh,
Midway Games.
yes, mate.
It's a
Another
gigantic
good game.
monster game.
Yeah, so you had, I think you had three characters. It was a lizard, a gorilla, and a wolf thing. But
Hmm.
the wolf thing was shit. If I remember correctly, it was actually everyone just played as the gorilla, the monkey, I think, because he had a move where he slid, and it would do quite a lot of damage to the building. Or when he jumped on it, he'd be able to do stuff like that. And you had to eat humans to get health.
Oh,
I
wow.
think there was a big thing about that. About there was something about like having to devour humans to regain health when the military was trying to blow you off these buildings. But again, another game where you could fight each other and
Right.
just forget about the game, the building, and just kick the crap out of each other. So like why not? But yeah, no, that's a really good game actually. I feel like that has actually spawned a few games as well.
Right.
And obviously, there was that movie that starred Dwayne The Rock Johnson in it, Rampage, which was a lot different, obviously, from the actual game.
Right.
Because for starters, the monkey in the movie used sign language.
Oh.
You know what I mean? You gotta connect on a sympathy level with that.
Amazing. And it's the
Yeah,
monkey that eats humans, right?
yeah. You know what
Awesome.
I mean? And in the movie, he eats humans as well.
Does he tell them, sorry, I'm going to eat you? And
Yeah,
then,
he does all that like,
amazing.
and then they go like, "I don't understand sign language," and he goes, "Ah, fuck it, I'm just gonna eat you anyway."
Excellent. So then number 23 is Pole Position from 1982. And this was a racing video game. I've seen lots of references to this game in, I wouldn't say that it's a great game, but it is influential because it was one of the earliest racing games, and it had two cabinets. One was a cockpit and one was a standard upright cabinet. And I remember if you were lucky, your arcade had the cockpit cabinet. And it was really popular. Like the same year that it was released, I think it was one of the best, maybe the best game, or at least one
Yeah,
of the top two most popular coin arcade games.
well, I've never heard of it, and I just googled it to see what it was, and I actually don't remember playing this, but
It
apparently it did really well.
it did really well in America. I don't know if it would have done necessarily over here because Namco Bandai, I feel like wasn't as prevalent in the 80s as they were in the 90s and beyond.
Right? No, I
Like
don't think it were actually.
even
To be
though they
honest,
made Pac-Man and everything, I don't know. I think that the North American reach was stronger. But the graphics are notoriously terrible, and there were lots of exploits. I remember like watching videos about this.
do you know? I was actually thinking like, obviously now we get loads of games testers, don't we? Like test for these exploits and things like that. They couldn't have done that back then. They had to like make sure it was all ready to go from from day dot. Like when it was release date, it's release date, and we've done everything we can do. So if you found a glitch after that, once it's gone to production, are you really going to spend all the engineers to come back out and reprogram it or do whatever it is? You fucked up, haven't you? So someone's getting fired and they've done that.
Yeah, see, I think that's probably why the games were slightly better quality because you weren't relying on random unnamed game testers to find your bugs for you. Like it was
No,
your
true.
job on the line to find the bugs yourself.
So
Um,
basically, what you're saying there is we got lazy. I understand. Yeah,
yeah.
we got lazy. We couldn't be asked. Yeah, listen, we'll just outsource it to someone who doesn't understand the concept, and we'll just let them figure out.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, the thing as well, I mean, just taking a slight segue to talk about briefly like games testing, I feel like when you are doing games testing, you're actively trying to break the game and not
Oh
necessarily
yeah,
trying to win. And sometimes those things are mutually exclusive. If you're trying to win, you might never interact with the game breaking bugs that they fixed, but you might actually run into things that they didn't fix because you're doing it so quickly or you're min maxing or, do you know, like I
yeah.
think
No, no, that's actually pretty fair, actually. So
um
you inadvertently discover a glitch, like something through trying to do it the way it wasn't meant to be made.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, whereas in normal gameplay, maybe people are missing bugs that happen through normal gameplay because they're trying to break the game. They're not actually trying to play it like a normal person would play the game.
Mm.
It's possible, but so 22. Now, if you did have this game, you didn't have it with this title because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game from 1989, was not allowed in the UK. It would have been Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles if it existed at all.
Wait, I think I remember the arcade that we used to go and play that. It would blast out that theme tune. Do you know the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Yeah.
But I can't remember if it referenced as Ninja or Hero Turtles.
So the description in the list says that it is in Europe Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. So they did do a hero version, but who knows if the music was right or not.
You know what? I think you might be right. I do remember the Hero Turtles and their song, but on the
Yeah.
cartoon on the Saturday it was Ninja Turtles.
I remember playing this game myself, and you could pick from the four turtles and then like battle with your friend.
Who was the best?
Yeah.
No, no, no. Which turtle was the best?
I mean Raphael all day.
Listen, you wasted time. Like, do you know what I mean? You wasted time, people's time for that matter, playing Raphael. Do you know what I mean? You should be apologising to some people. It was literally Donatello all the way. He had the longest reach. He was the only
Oh,
one
I know.
able.
Like you want to play your favorite turtle from the show, right? And Raphael was my favorite.
Oh, okay. But practicality wise, to get the most out of your money, because
Yeah,
that's
the
what we
longest
had.
reach. Yeah.
Yeah, he had the staff, he had the bow staff, so he had the longest reach. So when it came to fighting the bosses like Shredder and things like that, or
Yeah.
Krang and his Krang robot, because Krang would fucking have long legs and kick the shit out of you from like halfway across the screen. The only one who had the reach was legitimately Donatello. No,
Wow.
wait. Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't he
Yeah,
the one
Donatello,
with
the purple blue one, whatever his name is, I don't know.
purple?
Purple, yeah, that's the
Purple
one.
was the staff, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, because the second best of that was one of the swords, which was Leonardo.
Now you're struggling because Raphael was my favorite, so I only cared about the red one.
Right. One blue, one green, one purple one.
Yeah. Although green on a turtle, I think, is the wrong color. They should have picked yellow because green blends in. You know what I mean? They should have done yellow. That's my personal belief.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of that.
Mm.
Green on green should never be seen.
So we're heading towards halfway through the list, so I think we're going to need to split this into 2 episodes. So sorry if you guys wanted to hear us go all the way to 1. We will do that and publish it next week. But since there are so many anecdotes and opinions, I don't want to rush us through. So number 21 is Punch Out. Now, I have never played this game, but I know this game is one of the most important boxing games to come out.
Right, is Punch Out the Mike Tyson one? Or was that Mike
Yeah,
Tyson's Punch Out?
it was a spin-off of the NES title Mike Tyson's Punch Out and Super
Right,
Punch
I
Out.
only ever played the Mike Tyson one, so I don't know if this is the same thing.
This one says the arcade game featured characters like Glass Joe, Piston Hurricane, Bald Bull, and Mr. Sandman, which were apparently characters from the SNES game.
Okay.
They were like reoccurring characters, but I
Yeah.
have never played this game. I don't know anything about it. I just know Punch Out, the franchise, and all of its related games was pretty important to sports games as a whole.
Yeah, because there wasn't many at the time. I think there was sort of like a gap in the market, and I think things like Punch Out were taking those spaces. Like they obviously had the racing card games, but like for an actual physical, like boxing, karate, things like that, there wasn't much going on. You know, so I think it did fill a gap, and there was obviously a need for it to be developed. So, you know,
Yeah,
but
no,
not for me, mate, not for me,
not for me either.
not for me.
All right, so number 20, and also Punch Out. Let's be honest, like some of these games are better. If I'm gonna be critical, so number 20 is Spy Hunter. And it's a 1983 Midway Games classic. Midway has a lot of things on this list now that I'm looking at it. Midway and Capcom, but they were the big cabinet makers. So Spy Hunter had a steering wheel and an aircraft like yoke. So like you
The
had a
hell
stick
is this?
shift and a pedal. Like it was one of the more like advanced.
Mate, it sounds like you're trying to steer a blimp. Do you know what I mean? Like, it had a steering wheel with a yoke. I went, what the hell? Like a throttle.
Yeah, apparently there was a regular cabinet version, but the sit down version was quite advanced for its time. This is 83, so this is the same exact time as well, it's before Street Fighter and it's just after Cubert, Pac-Man, those ones, you know.
What was it
So
called again, sorry?
Spy Hunter. It
I
like the
remember
box art.
Spy versus Spy.
Oh no, it's not that. Mm-mm. No,
Do you
you've
know
not.
what I mean? But nah, mate, this Spy Hunter sounds trash. Not interested in that, mate.
What about the classic 1983 Star Wars on Atari? That's number 19.
Nah. You know, mate. I think we might have spoken about Star Wars with me before. Like, I was a Star Trek fan more than I was a Star Wars person. You know what I mean? I'm not.
Uh,
I'm not saying anything bad, and I'm this, unpopular opinion and such. But Star Wars just didn't grip me as much as Star Trek did. To be fair, but it could be a generational thing. Maybe I was too young for it. You know.
well, this wouldn't have had very like this was 3D vector graphics, and you were doing the attack on the Death Star from the film. Like this wasn't a pretty game. It was the first Star Wars game, so it wasn't like the first Star Wars
Listen, I'm
arcade.
sure it made a pretty penny for Mr. Lucas, though. You know what I mean? So like, I'm sure he appreciated it.
Oh, 100%,
He
100%.
didn't care if it was pretty, man. He was like, "No, pretty or not, that's a
Yeah,
cash cow right there." Probably Harrison Ford too, because he obviously got rights, didn't he? He took a
I'm
percentage of.
sure they all
I don't
got.
know if he took a percentage of the merchandise. I wonder if that would fall into it.
I'm pretty sure that video games are made under licensing agreements, so I'm not sure.
No, well, listen, I'm not a games developer for movies, so I wouldn't know. So
That's all
I'm sure
right.
Harrison Ford would be very interested to find out if he hasn't found out recently. You know what I mean?
Well, the next one on this list I know that you like, and in my opinion, it also falls into the category of women wearing unrealistic things in games from the
Right,
80s.
go on then. What is it?
Number 18, Contra.
Fucking hell. Who'd, listen, Contra, fantastic game.
Mm.
Fantastic game. Really good. Um, Without using the Konami code or anything like that, like, or any sort of cheats. Um, no, a really good game, actually. I really enjoyed that. There was, I think there was a boss, a skeleton boss, and it was really difficult. No, there was actually multiple bosses. There were like there was loads of different bosses, and at the end, you had to fight them all over again.
Oh,
Uh, and they were very alien-esque, like the movie Alien, like
mm.
the Sigourney Weaver one. Like there was one that was a little bit like that, and it was really scary. But there was one that always used to put the shit up me all the time. And you'd go into this like cyber room, and you could hear something coming towards you, and then all of a sudden these two fingers just come through the wall. Oh, sorry, come through the wall like this, and then it pulls um, the background apart, and then this massive skeleton head just sticks its like noggin in and starts looking around at you, and it's like starts like his jaw starts going like really fucked up, and then this looking back at it now, it's like it's a flamethrower, but I suppose it's his tongue, and it starts like doing a flamethrower like around the room like this, and you've got to like shoot it in the side, and then it'll stop and it'll do it the other way, and then it would stop altogether. Then it would do laser eye. Oh, it was a fucking nightmare. It was a very tense time being a child playing that game. That's all I can say. Like, do you know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. Listen, kids of the 80s and 90s were more stressed out than their counterparts by far. We had games and they
I
were
think that's
so
why we can handle stress as we get older as adults. We're like, listen, you don't know what it was like playing Contra or any game from our era. You don't know what stress is. It's all action sequences for you. You got to press X, Y, and you've completed it, whereas we had to actually put some effort in.
All right. Yeah, probably. Actually, I don't think you're too
It
wrong.
does make sense, though, doesn't it? Like, you had to do, you needed skills, to pay
Hashtag get
those bills.
good.
You don't get
All
none of
right.
that now.
So number 17 is a game that I've never even heard of, nor have I played, and it is the 1982 WMS Industries Inc. Joust, which apparently features a knight riding an ostrich.
Yeah, because knights were famously known for riding ostriches, clearly, you know what I mean?
And the enemy knights ride buzzards.
What?
Have you played this? I've never played it.
I've never heard of this one, mate. How could...
Heard of it. Um, I mean, listen, it sounds interesting, but also it's 17 on the list. It is more popular than Street Fighter. I don't believe that.
Yeah, I don't. Who made this list again one more time?
Um,
Sorry?
it's on the website Ranker, but is a crowd voted list. So this is the gamers TM who have decided this.
Oh, wow.
Which is why maybe I find it so surprising that Joust is only one level lower than the original Mario Brothers cabinet from
Shut up. That can't
1983.
be right. Listen, someone's having you on here, mate. That list, whoever they made this list, yeah, you need, I know it's popular opinion that I've done this list, right? But there's some people out there that's been idiots. And they've voted this game in just to piss off whoever made bloody Mario. Kojima, whatever his name is, you know what I mean? Like, they just done it to wind him up.
Hideo Kojima, yeah.
Yeah, they just done it to wind him up. Nah, I
Yeah,
never heard of that.
Mario
That's a shite game.
It's a great game. It's probably one of the best platformers of all time, just for being unusual, you know. And this was the cabinet created for arcades in 1983, and apparently it was fairly similar to the Nintendo version, which I remember playing. I never played the cabinet that I remember, but the Nintendo version I did play.
Yeah, you had 3 lives in this one, if I remember correctly, and it played exactly like the console. There was no difference between that. So you could easily just use the portals, the portal pipes, or whatever the hell you called them,
Yeah,
the green things from like level 4 to jump to level 8 and stuff like that. But then you kind of missed out a lot of the game. So why would you bother doing that? Like you've just paid 20, 30 pence, which is a king's ransom back in the day, to then
yeah.
skip half of the game. You're trying to get your money's worth in it. Although, mind you, looking back on it, I probably would skip the water world because that was awful.
Everyone hated that world, don't
Oh, who liked it? Like, I know you had to go into certain bits, but like it was just a nightmare.
they?
And I was thinking about this, right? Do you know when you played the game, you've got to go on certain levels, and if you don't do them in the correct way, the level just keeps repeating itself and it runs out of time?
Yeah,
Who figured that out?
I don't know. Who had the
Do you know
money?
what I mean? Who figured it out and how much money did they waste, and did they tell anyone?
No idea. No idea. Like, I do wonder how the word got around back in the very
Well, yeah,
early
you did have the internet, and did what do you call it? You had those manuals, didn't you? Like the player's guides.
the Game Sharks and
Yeah.
the the walkthrough
Well,
walkthrough.
yeah, yeah. The magazines that you'd have to when you go to the shop and read them and take notes, and
Mm.
then some assistant will come over and go, "This is a shop, not a library." Do you know what I mean? Because you just stood there reading the notes, trying to take down, trying to remember all the maneuvers that you need to do. Well, at least
Well,
that's what my experience of that. That's what happened to me.
listen, I think that's totally fair. I don't remember paying for one of those magazines, but I definitely remember using some of the cheats from time to time. And then I think they started wrapping them in plastic. Now that I remember, so
Yeah, that sounds about right. That
well, I
sounds right.
think the perfect place to end part one and pick up next week is the number 15 slot. And I believe my personal favorite game on this list, Mortal Kombat, the 1992 Midway Games Classic. I mean, this was one of the best games of all time. Not only was it controversial, all the Karens got angry. They were like, all the church groups were up in arms.
Yeah. Uh,
Everything about this game was fun. Your parents hated it, you loved it, and you could fight your friends. So, when one of you would lose, the next person would have to pay. So, like, this was great.
yeah. Did you get? I don't know if in America, did you get the this will turn your kids to violence?
Mm,
You know,
mm.
you will become like the worst human being possible for playing this game. You'll do crack in the same week. Do you know what I mean? Like everything, like you'll lose your house, you'll start gambling crazy, and it's like there was all these mad stories of you played like this violent game. You're just going to suddenly go on the street and try and rip people's heads out. Do you know? It's just it didn't make sense. But at the same time, though, you are right. It was an alternate. It was an alternative, sorry, to Street Fighter, which was relatively clean cut. Do you know what I mean? No blood, no like finishing moves and things like this. So
Yeah.
when the premise came out of like screen, it wasn't screen capture, was it? It wasn't like I don't know how they actually did it, but it was like they just filmed
It was,
sequences, didn't
I
they?
think
And
it was
then
photography. I swear it was photography.
I think you're right. And then it was just movement of like characters, and then they'll just record them, and then
Yeah.
obviously you'd have the movement of it.
Like some sort
But
of like animated stroke stop motion. I don't know exactly what the term was for it, but it was like real people's faces on there for the first time.
yeah,
Like,
true, and actually quite well done considering. Like to be
yeah,
fair, for the technology, I thought it was
considering considering that Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat came out in the same year. I mean,
oh
Mortal
yeah,
Kombat is
yeah,
an evolution.
yeah, 100%. And then obviously things like things evolved from Mortal Kombat as well. So you had another game called Pit Fighter, which was the same kind of premise. Like that was Street Fighter esque. Sorry, it was Mortal Kombat esque. So it was like the design of Mortal Kombat, where it was just like actual geezers that look like bodybuilders and stuff like this. Fighting each other in a pit. Um, so any night out in Middlesbrough, really, you know what I mean? It was just it was just video footage or surveillance footage from that. So it's not the same. Um, so yeah. Look, listen, good game. It's
Yeah.
still going well now. To be fair, like they've done more combats, fucking 60 something. You know what I mean? They just won't stop. It's like
Yeah,
the Freddy Krueger
listen,
movies.
they're printing money at this point, but for it to be 15, I think it's far too low. Like Mortal Kombat
Yeah,
challenged a generation, you know?
yeah, it
That's
did.
my personal opinion. Like Mortal Kombat, while it wasn't a trailblazer, it paved the way for bigger and more important games later on, like Grand Theft Auto and,
Yeah,
Call of Duty and all the games we love now.
yeah, 100%. You're right, actually right there, actually, because it was probably the first game that actually broke down the boundaries of like what you could achieve as a game, like for gore and 18 plus, and still have an audience that would play it, and then still have a younger audience that wanted to play it, basically because they got told they couldn't.
Well, that's
Do
true.
you know what I mean?
I guarantee you that didn't stop you though.
Ah, listen, I remember walking like what was it? I think we were walking 2.5 miles to play Mortal Kombat when it first came out, and it was 50 pence a go. I was a kid. 50 pence was like that's all my allowance just to play this one game, and I got my ass kicked on it within 4 minutes in the first character, and I'd still do it again next week just so I can come back after I've read all those manuals in that shop that I got kicked out of, and I'd
Well,
still be shared it.
I think this is a perfect place to pause review of this list and get your final thoughts on games 15 through 30. What should have been there that you were surprised you didn't see there, or what shouldn't be on the list at all?
What it was there that listen, Golden Axe should have been higher. To be fair, I think as a game it brought a lot more to us culturally, especially when it comes to developing games from that kind of aspect. Because as I said before, it was the first game that I particularly remember that it was a joint venture to play with a partner to then go and do some objectives, and it scaled really well. And I think what shouldn't be on the list? Listen, what was it, Joust or something, where you ride an ostrich off a cliff or something? What was it?
Joust.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I never heard of it. But that doesn't mean that shouldn't be there just because I'm not being ignorant, because I haven't heard of it. Doesn't mean it wasn't in other people's circles. And then if you feel free to think I'm wrong, just post it in the comments and let someone else know that isn't me. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Go and have an argument about it on the keyboard and let someone else know.
Yeah, I'm just so surprised that Street Fighter is so low. Like, it
Yeah,
really,
that
the
is it.
original Street Fighter was very trailblazing
Influential.
for its
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Oh, listen, you're not wrong. You won't get an argument from me there, man. I thought that'd be a lot higher. I thought that'd be close. That'd be 14. A
And
bit
Cuba,
higher up.
get out of there.
Cuba. Listen, yeah, that Qubit situation, someone on drugs put that in there, mate. That's all those hippy dippy people that are on the free love and having movements and stuff. That's what they put in there.
All right. Any final thoughts?
I'm hungry.
Perfect.
That's sorry. Oh, we're on about the list. Sorry. No, I'm good. Listen, I'm very happy where we covered it so far.
All right.
You know?
Perfect. Well, we'll pick up from number 14 on this list in the next episode. But for now, that wraps up this episode of Retro Rebel Gamecast. I want to thank Tom for this week's discussion. All the notes from this episode will be posted on our site, templeofgeek.com. So if you'd like to add to the discussion, flame Tom or reach out with questions, sound off in the comments, or email us via retrorebel@templeofgeek.com. If you like what you hear, head over to wherever you download your podcast and subscribe so you'll be sure to get each episode as it's released, including the follow-up to this episode, and rate us because that really helps our show. Until the next time, see you later.